As we come into this womb space, the base of the soul, the seat of the soul, and we connect into the right ear, there's a sense of almost the divine feminine being within her castle, within her sacred space, and the feeling of this divine masculine that is returning from battle with his armor, as if she is standing gazing out of the window at the destruction down below, and he slumps down onto a seat with his head in his hands, with his right hand to his forehead. His left hand holding his sword, loosely resting on his leg, as if he is ready to slip and let go of everything that he has been through. And it is a moment of stillness as each is reflecting on what has just occurred. For the divine feminine, there is clearing through the mind as she looks out at the destruction, wondering if this is it. Will things now clear? Will we move forward in the way that we have always imagined was possible? And yet the decay upon the battlefield shows that there is much to be done before that time comes. And within the divine masculine heart, through the right side of the mind, he is experiencing the trauma of what has occurred on this battlefield, what he has slain, and having to make these amends within his own heart to come to the truth of what has occurred. There is deception within his abdomen, what he has had to tell himself in order to survive this, in order to get through this. And his vision feels clouded. Was this the only way? Was it required that he slay these dragons rather than simply lay down his sword? And what are the implications of this for his future? And it seems that within this sacred space, it's a very cylindrical shape, with a dome top. It seems to be a space of healing, as there is fear, there is concern that the masculine will be carrying forward this trauma in his field. As the divine feminine is peering out of this tiny window within this space, looking out at this destruction, let us turn now internally into this space of healing, the space of recombination, where we can re-theorize the expressions of what has occurred. And first we must come to this divine masculine and ask, we need to look into his eyes. We need to contact his soul, his center, in a way that no one has ever contacted him before. And to ask him dear brother of the light, are you ready to release and let go? Are you ready to retrieve what is truly yours? Are you ready to shed your burdens and fully heal in the way that you intended when you came here in this lifetime? And touching into his heart space with the hand which sparks this remembrance of so much more. And if he is ready, you will hear the resonance through the chambers. Faint, perhaps, but heartfelt. And so we start to prepare the bath. We start to prepare for this body, which will be removing its armor. This armor that it has worn for all of eternity, ever since the inception of control, which dictated the course of his life. And so with the awareness that this armor has perhaps even in some places melded to the skin, almost as if it has actually become a part of who he is, of who he believes that he is. And so we open the divine feminine heart through this water, as if this tub, this soaking space of light emanation, is a giant pink quartz stone filled with the light of truth, the waters of truth, the healing waters of the divine feminine capacity to hold all that the darkness brings. And so she does not force him, she does not push him, she does not hurry him. Where he appears to be struggling to remove his armor, she steps a bit closer and waits for his acknowledgement. He may simply drop his head, and she knows it is safe to move in to assist. She does not pull or tug to release this armor. She holds it for him so that he can find the proper angle through which to remove his arm from the sleeve. And he even may pause here if it is painful. knows to breathe. She knows to look intently at his face, searching. For his answers, searching for what he is experiencing, yet knowing this is his process and his journey. And so as he lifts his face up, feeling this pain of the removal into his heart, as he breathes into this pain, she reminds him that she is here. She pulls him back into this reality that the event has already occurred. We're within the healing of the event. And as he comes back into his body, into this awareness, with the nod of his head, he urges her to pull just a bit more forcefully to help release. And as he looks at his arm and the impressions that the armor has left, she notices the sadness, the defeat. And she pauses to gather a cloth, which she dips into this healing water. And she brings it to him and wraps it around his hand, simply holding it here for a few moments as he feels the warmth. As he feels the love emanating from this water, healing delivery. That has been applied to his fingertips. And this brings tears to his eyes as he starts to tune in. As he starts to realize the deliverance through this healing. You begin to see the awarenesses, the specks of light that start to populate within his mind, within his mental space. For when he returned, the stories of legends have told him he was always going to be damaged. He would live out the rest of his days as a broken and wounded warrior. And yet here in this moment of tenderness, he starts to imagine something possible, something beyond eternally carrying this burden of pain. And yet he is fearful for any good that has ever come to him, has always quickly gone away. And so, sensing this within him, she looks deeply into his eyes. All of this slowness in communicating, the capacity for light to light conversion of the messages. He understands what she is communicating. She shows him what is possible. And yet also encourages him to walk over to this healing bath and to place his hand within it. For I can only show you what is possible and give you a taste of what is waiting. But you, my beloved, must walk, must dip your own hand into your healing. And it is as if when he puts his hand in, his mind begins to shatter and split open. That the legends of old are not true. His mind could not comprehend how his entire life has been based on false stories. Stories that he had poured his heart and soul into. And as the tears begin to fall and his body softens, as the grief washes over him, as he lies upon this bench that is next to this quartz healing tub, his limbs soften and the armor becomes so much more easy to remove. And it is as if now his eyes are so focused upon his hand, which is healed. He cannot even bear to look back any longer. He's so focused upon this water. His mind is almost consumed with this new reality that he sees in front of him. What is this new story? What is this new realm that I have only imagined? But imagined I would never see. It is true and it is here. And he wishes with all his heart to dive deeply into this healing space. And as he begins to lift his aching body, one foot at a time, into this pool, into this tub of healing water, sees the relief on his face as the warmth comes in contact with his skin. And she will leave him here now for a while, to simmer within this healing tone. And as he rests the back of his head, the back of his neck, upon this pink quartz crystal stone, something wondrous is taking place within his mind. As he realizes his capacity and his power to change his existence. And as if to demonstrate this, we see the walls within this room begin to change according to his mind's eye. As the stone begins to crumble and fall away and reveals the gardens, the trees, the truth of the earth, and beyond, as the garden begins to spin into the cosmos, into the night sky, as he remembers into his past, into his dwelling space of his heart. And as the silver starlight begins to open, as these portals of light begin to shine down upon him, into the ground, into this earth that surrounds his healing chamber. For once he has immersed long enough in his healing waters, he will emerge into the starlight, and upon the starlight, for he is now within his resonant chamber of being, will commune with the light of his truth, with his true lineage. Receiving into his mind and into his heart, into his foundation. The truth of who he is. And so we leave him here now within this space, pure potentiality of healing. Loshni ichiatako ochashai 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 ichayana ikiashakata okashai ichayana. As it is so.